How do you separate yourself from the competition when the whole world is claiming they can do the same thing you can? You show your work. Introducing Replit Community Profiles, with an all-new activity graph and power ranking to help you understand how you stack up against the world's best builders. Okay.
What's up, Rymar? How's it going?
Just coming in on the vibes, watching myself sit at my new home desk there. It's always a little weird to see content you create kind of like just on screen like that. Anyway, what's up, everybody?
You're the highlight today, dude.
Hey, these
You're the
community
lead.
profiles have been super
Rocking.
exciting. Yeah, love watching you guys all share your stats and kind of see this percolate across the web. Logging in every time. Manny and I were talking about this, and like our notifications are just maxed out with everyone sharing across LinkedIn, X, whatever. Just been absolutely nuts. So super cool to see. Thanks everyone for sharing. And it's just, again, a testament to this community, the builders, the atmosphere, like kind of just everything about this community. So yeah, cheers to you all as well.
So much fun, man. Yeah, one of the cool things that I like about the profiles as well is that you're seeing other people connect with each other as well. Like, oh, I just saw you posted your stats. Let me follow you. Like somebody said, like anybody that posts their Replit stats, like instant follow. And so that's the other neat things that people are connecting outside like of this stream as well on other platforms.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the encouraging thing. We talked about it on the stream Tuesday that we're very early in the formation of this community and the size and the ability to like connect and, have all these different relationships. And, 6 months, a year from now, it will not be the case. I don't think that will be the case. And so it's much easier now to do that. And so like, yeah, reply, support, encourage other folks, and you just watch as like you start getting involved and these like networks start creating. So like right now, if you imagine Replit, obviously, community is the large overarching umbrella that we all sit under. However, there's going to be pockets that pop up all different parts of the world, different interest types, different, categories, topics, whatever. And so that's what you're seeing right now form, right? It's like these little relationships. You see these little podcasts. We're going to talk to Nadia and Nani a little bit about that. We're going to talk to folks who have just kind of started building in Replit, folks that have like, crazy numbers in Replit. And so like, as you start connecting and see these little relationships form, this is your opportunity to like really get into some of these small groups. And those small groups will become the power centers as this community evolves. And so those will be the nodes that kind of like branch up into the Replit community. And then obviously the ground level will be around there. And those where the ambassadors come in and all the opportunity for us to just like grow this tree. But again, you can own and manage one of those little nodes just by getting involved and getting active. And usually the better you get at that, the better we're going to do it, like trying to spotlight and bring you up into the mix and kind of, put you up on our stage. So anyway, what's up to everybody out there? Hello. And yeah, let's go.
We can get started. Chris is in the chat. We can now get started. The show can continue. What's up, Chris? How's
It's
it going? Nicholas, what's up? Nice to see you joining us from LinkedIn. We actually have a fair amount of people that tune in from LinkedIn. I'm typically surprised. Like LinkedIn, probably gets us more views than X, which I'm a little surprised by, or at least more comments coming in through LinkedIn.
Yeah, profiles were low key viral. Let's go.
Oh yeah, everywhere, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody said Replit's completely taken over my timeline.
Yeah. Okay, Manny, guide us. Where are we headed first here today?
All right, let's talk about this week in Replit. Then we have some super special guests that are coming on to the show. But first, we got to talk about all the great things that shipped in Replit this
You mean we
week.
shipped other things other than the community profiles? How dare we?
Can you believe it? Yeah. Never a dull moment in Replit world. All right. So, of course, we got to start off with our new community profiles that launched this week. The easiest way to, oh, yeah. The easiest way to showcase your work and all the great activity on what you've been building on Replit. You can claim your profile, customize it, add your favorite projects, add your social links. And if you have a pro or enterprise account, you can also get some really amazing stats, such as your usage, your activity, your checkpoints, and the all important power ranking to show off with the world. So head over to replit.com/community, claim your profile, download these beautiful assets, and share your stats with the world. Rymar, this has been your baby. The reception has been wild. How's it feeling, dude?
Super cool. Again, we opened the show talking about just exciting to see all of the different activity and to see where everyone's at. New builders, older builders, experienced builders. And so, yeah, just really cool to see this, to put stuff like this together, and just know that we are listening to all your feedback, and these will evolve over time. So we've heard a number of, mostly good, but just a couple suggestions about things that we can improve. So expect these to evolve significantly, specifically around bringing them together with the certificates that we do in Replit, and kind of trying to tie and unify that all together. But also maybe like a little badge, we heard would be a really cool thing to be able to put a badge and embed this out in the public that would link back to your profile. So just expect this to just refine and pull all together as we grow here. And I expect the virality of this will increase over time as more and more people find this. It's not one of those things where like, hey, you'll just share it today because this was the social campaign. People are going to be sharing these as they go, maybe grabbing the video in their most peak moment and storing that on their website. Like there's all sorts of ways to use this moving forward to kind of build trust and credibility, which is, again, a big direction we're headed in here at Replit.
I'm so excited about this. Keep those suggestions coming. Drop them in the chat. What do you want to see? And this is just the beginning. I'm so excited for this. All right. In other news, get a free custom domain on us now through Friday, July 17th. You can build a new app in Replit, and you can get 1 year's worth of a free custom domain. Here's how it works. You build on Replit, you publish it, and you head over to the new domains tool, select on buy a new domain, and then you're going to see a number of eligible domains come up. You just click on it, you can confirm it, and then boom, that domain is yours for free for 12 months. Again, this runs through Friday, July 17th. Take advantage of this and check out our docs to learn more.
Yep. And get you a domain if you're serious about your business, okay? You don't want to be going out and trying to like, not that you can't, right? Like if you're just get out to market as quick as possible, but as you get to the next layer and as you really want to start like building trust and credibility around the product you're building, having a custom domain is a big deal. So go grab that now. You can store it for later as you go, like just link it up and now you have the domain. And so as you build credibility, you'll have that custom URL. But again, yeah, go get you a custom domain.
Last one here. We recently teamed up with Ramp. Now with Ramp and Replit Agent, you can now incorporate your company all from Replit Agent. You can set up banking, create your own cards, pay bills, and manage transactions all from Replit. So
How am I here at Replit and I don't know about this? So
you're
you're
getting the
telling
news
me
here
I
too,
can
dude.
issue like cards internally now through Ramp with like an app that I built?
You can incorporate your business, you can
Bro.
issue cards, you can validate transactions.
What?
Your
Like
entire finance department
I
now
don't know
from
how
Replit
you all
Agent.
out there are ever expected to keep up with this stuff where like I'm here, I'm in it. This is so exciting. Like this is a real deal, cool feature to be able to have. And I didn't even know about this until just now. So anyway, got to go play with that. Let's go.
Breaking news, even for you, Ryvar. Well, you've mentioned this before. Like the only thing that moves as fast as Replit are these streams. So
Correct.
we got to break this news here. So head over to agents.ramp.com to learn more. It's a pretty straightforward prompt that you drop in with Replit Agent, and Replit Agent will handle the rest, even if you don't have a Ramp account. So definitely go check that out.
Uh, these connectors, you did the show. We did a show recently on the connectors and just the integrations, and we had was it Alex from the team that was talking about those integrations, and like I really think this is going to start being exponential growth as like you bring all these other really established tools that are just so powerful. Obviously, like things like Databricks and Snowflake, we've talked plenty about those. Visa, Stripe, et cetera, et cetera. But as more things like this come into the mix, it just amplifies exponentially the power of Replit. And I really think it's going to lead to some explosive growth. I mean, guys, you just have no idea how that like early and crazy this is going to get.
Absolutely. The trend that I'm betting on is that these platforms are making it easier for Replit Agent to integrate into their services. So maybe
Yep.
you saw like 6 months ago there are a couple of connectors that are available, but these platforms like Ramp, like Snowflake, like Databricks, they are building out an entire infrastructure to be able to talk to agents. So I think the fact that we're like so invested on Replit, working with Replit Agent, and getting familiar with building Replit Agent, we're just gonna wait for that to speed up and just make it easier to integrate into these other external services. So it's like you're good at Replit. That's a really good place to be, and then just wait for these other services to make it easier for you just to do everything from Replit, working
Yeah.
with Replit Agent.
Well, and like we talked about with Alex, we talked about the goal. If you don't see the connector yet, that doesn't mean it's not available or it's not coming. The agent is really good at dealing with documentation and API from other apps, and the long term goal is obviously to build and make it really easy for anyone to build, maybe even you all to build integrations with the stuff you are creating. So, anyway, go watch that stream on the connectors. It was super insightful to see where this is all headed. And we will keep letting you know about the newest integrations and tools and things that you can get inside of Replit with this. Yeah.
All right. Pretty stacked show today. We've got Nadia and Noni. Man, Nadia and Noni have just taken over the Replit universe. I'm seeing them everywhere. I think Noni was in Paris with Michele. I'm seeing Nadia everywhere. They're launching podcast episodes. So it's going to be great to talk to them about their profile and also what they're building. We have Victoria coming on the show. She's a bit of a new builder. She had some great feedback on the stats. We want to chat with her about that as well. We have Marcel, power player here
Mhm.
with a 10.0 power ranking. We got to talk to him about how he's doing that, his tips and his tricks for getting those numbers up on Replit. And then we're going to announce the rest of the community profile winners. So in addition to these folks here, we have 21 other folks that are walking away with $100 worth in Replit credits to get those numbers up over the weekend.
Well, and
So
I'm gonna give a little bit of alpha just on the Nadia and Noni thing before they come on, before we get to that segment, because what I think, going back to my point about building community and becoming a little hub, it's like just find someone that you like connect with in the space or that you have like good like vibes with, and start thinking about how do you create content together, how do you do stuff together. It's way better than doing this alone. And then really consistency, right? Your first podcast ain't gonna go viral. Your first tutorial, your first template, like none of these things that you do are just gonna be like viral moments that take off right off the bat. Maybe once in a while you'll get lucky and something like that'll happen. But what's really impressive about them is just the consistency. They keep doing the stuff. They're bringing in other folks from the community. So just again, maybe we can learn a little bit from them if you're out there and trying to figure out like, hey, how do I do this? How do I get on the stream? What do I need to do to get on the radar? So just some things to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's you never know who you're going to connect with in the Replit community because they met during. Well, I guess we'll bring them on and we'll talk to them
Yeah.
right now. So we got Nadia's profile here, so just wanted to check that out. 9.7 out of 10. Let's go, Nadia. She's cooking. And then here is Noni's post as well, just showing some great stats. These videos are so good, right, Mar? Like these are so great, really nice to share.
Those videos, first of all, this thing was done, right? Like those share cards were ready, everything was good to go. Those share cards actually came together kind of in the last mile. I think like 24, 36 hours before. I was just thinking like, okay, the stats are cool. How do we give people like a way to share these very easily? And so I was like, what if we made little cards that kind of isolated each of the stats and like made it simple? And then I started like sliding through this and I was like, okay, this is actually cool. And so what I started recording was a GIF for our social post that was me clicking through the slides. And I was like, I bet the agent could do this for me. And so I asked the agent, like, hey, can you take these and turn them into a video? And it did. And then I was like, can you animate the entry of these things in the video? And then I literally think it was 3 or 4 prompts of just create the video, animate the video, clean up the animation, and then like there was one more little last refinement that I think was like a responsiveness slash like don't crop the preview type thing so that the text stayed, like just in line. But I can't imagine, like, I'm going through thinking about like some kind of marketing campaign like this, where an organization just in the last mile, like 12 hours before launch, goes to the dev team and is like, hey, we want to add the thing that auto generates a video that people can download. And the engineering team looks at you like, excuse me? That's like, and then it's
Right.
like, we're going to take us a week to do this. And it's like, no, we did it in a couple hours with the agent. So anyway,
Mhm.
just a really cool thing. Like, we did an episode on like lead magnets. This is the exact type of thinking that goes into a lead magnet, right? If it was just social profiles, this thing probably doesn't go as viral as it did. But you
Mhm.
give folks something that lets them show off their power in this thing, and then right, you get way more traction. So
Mhm.
again, just a little bit of thinking and unifying and the power of the agent. So
So I think after we bring on the guests, I think it'd be good to go more into that, Reimar. Like you're thinking in terms of how you put this together, like the process, how it all came about. I think that'd be a really interesting story because this has been great, but we also kind of want to understand like the maybe tactically how you like build some of these things out.
yeah.
So drop your questions in the chat. Like, what do you want to know about in terms of like actually building this and bringing it together? We'll get to those a little bit later in the show. But for now, let's bring on our first guest, Nadia and Noni. How's it going? How are you? Welcome.
Hi
Hello,
guys, how are
friends.
you?
Hi.
Good to see you. I feel like I've been seeing you everywhere in the Replit universe now. Like you're like dining with Michele in Paris, like dropping photos, like so cool to see. And you're gonna also after
Yeah,
this, you're gonna join Brandon, our head of education, on a
Right.
webinar as well, right?
Oh
Like you're
wow.
like you're total rock stars here.
Yeah, I think we found our special interest.
yeah.
um, Nadia, maybe take a moment to introduce yourself. Maybe talk a little bit about how you got connected with Replit and what you've been building.
Yeah, sure. I am
Uh,
Nadia
Go ahead.
Iftikhar. Oh, sorry, is there a lag? I'm Nadia Iftikhar. I am a teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing. I'm also an ed tech researcher, and I have a love for tech, but no formal coding background that would count. I'm the founder of Modal Education, so I just wanted to build solutions for my students. That's how this started. Started in 2019. Had one product that was manually built, and then I discovered vibe coding after I graduated with my doctorate in January. Someone showed me Replit. My brother-in-law showed me Replit. And then the rest is history. That was the end of February. And I have, I don't know how many apps. There's 7 in my ecosystem. I've centralized everything. I've won a build-a-thon, and I've made I call her my build-a-thon bestie, Noni, as well.
Yeah, and you came onto our
Yeah.
radar at the Build-a-thon, so that was really cool to see. I think you took, was it first place on the
First
Agent
place, yeah.
10-year Build-a-thon, right? So, um, go back and watch that episode because the tool you built and just again your domain expertise and the education background, it's the perfect story for how Replit is like empowering folks at the ground level. Where like from a technical standpoint, you've probably had all these ideas and things that you wanted to do and couldn't because of the cost of oh, did I lose my camera? Of
Lost
what it
signal.
takes to build those things.
Mhm.
But yeah. All right, you guys, let me figure out what's going on with my camera. You guys go ahead.
Figure
Well,
it out.
On what you said, Rymar, the reason I was able to build out so much stuff was I had all these ideas. So the ideas existed in my head and on paper, like on my notes for the entire 7 years. And then I was able to build them out in like a matter of months, 7 different programs because they already were there. The research was there and everything. And Replit just accelerated that like crazy.
Cool. Noni, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm a primary school teacher from England, at the moment in Paris. Had a lovely dinner with Michaela last night. It was really, really fun. I joined Replit during the mobile buildathon, and then met Nadia through the 24-hour buildathon. And we just connected through there because we're both educators and we're both like mums and we had so much in common. So it was actually Nadia's idea to start this podcast just to show educators and moms and then women in AI as well, what Replit is capable of. Like it just became so like something that we need to showcase its capabilities. And same as Nadia, I had so many plans for making my own website and apps, and I had no idea how to do it, no coding background. And then along came the mobile buildathon. I built an app in the SATs, a SATs app. It's a test that they take in the UK for children. And it was a hit on the Apple Store, number 12, got really lots of downloads in the beginning and just took it from there. So there's so many gaps, we believe, in education that can be closed with using like through Replit. It's just really exciting. We just keep building an app after an app for every problem that comes up.
Right? Yeah. Like I no longer have an ideas list. I just go into Agent and I just drop my idea in there and then have Agent go into plan mode. If it's any good, I click on build. If not, whatever, on to the next idea.
Yeah.
And also now, like before bed, I'm like what I'm finding is like I go into one of my projects and go into the task and I'm just dropping in like different ideas as individual tasks. I get in plan mode and I wake up in the morning like, oh, that's a good plan. Yeah, build it. No, hey, next round. But I'd
Yeah.
love to hear about how you two came together because one of the cool things that we're seeing is that we're bringing together people like-minded that are interested in building with AI, have great ambitions, are doing great things, are helping other folks like yourself. But the cool thing is that you're also getting to meet each other at this meeting point in the Replit community. So maybe talk a little bit how you met each other, how you like got on each other's radar, and like ultimately how you started working together.
Yeah. So one thing I loved that you guys did at the buildathon was we were able to see and interact with each other's builds. So, and there was a way to search through it and everything. And so again, we talk special interest. I'm all about education. I want to see what teachers are building. And so I was looking for education apps and Noni's bamboo times tables apps showed up. And I was like, this design is gorgeous. Who made this? And so it was really out of admiration of her design and her app, because a lot of times there's great ideas, but the design, you're like a kid won't be able to navigate it or whatever it is. But Noni's was just, I told her chef's kiss. And so I sent her a message. I believe it was me first, right, Noni? I don't want to take credit for this. But yeah, I was like,
I adored the app that she made because it was for like accessible for children with different needs, and that's like just what we need in education right now. Education is like so behind and everything's accelerating, but I feel like classroom, and then her app just caught my attention. So accessible for children with those kind of needs.
yeah, and then it just took off. We started at first, I said, hey, I need to get on the App Store. Can you help me? She's like, yeah, sure. Let's hop on a Zoom. We got on a Zoom. I don't know. We must have talked for 2 hours. And
Wow.
I was like, okay, it's strange because I feel like the similarities are uncanny. Also like from motherhood to, the way, our spouses, all of it just kind of went together. I was like, you're a friend. Like this is more than a professional connection. Or you're not just teaching me how to put my app on the App Store. I'm watching your workflow and learning from you, and vice versa. And then that's where the podcast came from, because I was like, if we found each other, how many other people are there out there that are like us?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's such
And
a
this is
great
what I
thought.
think, again, I'm going to keep harping back on finding your little tribe inside of the group, right? It's like you are not going to connect with everyone in the community. And this is why like spamming Discord with like, check my post, or like spamming X with like, here's the thing I'm up to in the moment, is almost never going to work. What you just heard is them talking about like, we built a relationship, we're interested in each other's projects, and then those small little interactions led to more things. And so I think, yeah, people could learn a little bit about just those soft skills or the relationship building, or how you guys kind of just supported each other first, were very interested in what you were doing, and then you were like, hey, what can we do together? Right? So there was like this mutual respect and appreciation for what the other person was doing. And then it was like, okay, what's next? And that's what was interesting to me. Noni, do you maybe have some thoughts about, that just relationship formation, however you guys kind of
Yeah.
like started taking off here?
Yeah, so Nadia approached me, and then I'm a person who has no confidence. So doing this right now is taking a lot. But Nadia is the kind of person who gave me the push to be more comfortable with myself. So when she said, let's do a podcast, I was like, oh, I mean, the first few episodes, I'm like I have no confidence. But once you get into it, and you guys said this too, and it's something that Nadia, meeting her on the community, she gave me a push to be more confident. And it's just like getting out of your safe space, pushing yourself forward to be able to, put something out there that other people may not be able to access themselves. So, and it was just all about, it's because of the community on Replit. I don't think if that was there, we would never have found each other. So, which is a great start.
Yeah, I really like the key message for me is like put something out there, and one, you're gonna try to get feedback, but also a secondary aim is to connect with other people that you might have some really good relationships with. So Nada, you mentioned this. One of the cool things that we did with the hackathon or the buildathon is that you could post your work in advance and you can have people comment and share it. And Noni, the way you came on my radar is you posted a really cool video about what you were building, and I was like, oh, this is so good. Like it was so well edited. It had a great story. You're showing your app.
That took
you're showing
a
the
lot of
process.
confidence as well.
Well, again, like, breaking out of your safe zone and doing something different and just putting it out there. But like, you can potentially connect with people like the folks at Replit. Like, I think Amjad also retweeted that video as well, and like other folks like Nadia. So I think that's kind of what you can look forward to, is like you put yourself out there. It's a little uncomfortable, yes, but you might make some amazing connections.
I think it was more uncomfortable for my husband, because there's a scene where you see my feet under the car. I made him lie down on the driveway and shoot it, and he was like, I hope the neighbors don't see this.
I was wondering how you got that shot.
It's always so funny to me when you see people doing content out in like the public sphere, because it takes this like little bit of don't give a fuck, like
Right.
because you're gonna do weird things. It's like, no, you got to get this angle and you got to do the shot again and like crawl underneath and get the shot from under the whatever. And it's like there's always this, and so it takes a little bit of that. Like we're just gonna do this and see how it plays out, and maybe it's not the most comfortable thing, but again, the cadence, the consistency will give you like a little bit of more, just confidence to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's a muscle, right? You got to put yourself out there. There's so much,
That's
especially
such a great
because
way to put it. It's a muscle.
Yeah, Replit is bringing in non-tech founders. So there's so much imposter syndrome, right? Where like, who am I to put myself out there? There's all these people who know the jargon, all of that. And that's what I was telling Noni. I was like, just do it. You're building something really valuable. There's not a whole lot of people that are visible in this space. Like, trust me, think of it as teachers. We think of it as helping other people. It's not about the attention. It's who can I help? Who can I touch? And what's the impact I can make? And when you frame it that way, it's a little easier to do crazy things like that, film content and get out there.
That's a great way.
Yeah. And I think the way we're like trained in a way to break it down, like teachers naturally just like break it down. So that helps.
Can you talk a little bit about your work on the podcast, and how's that been going? What's been tough about that? What's been the reception so far? And I'm kind of curious also, just in general, like as you're seeing educators get educated on AI, what are some of the common misconceptions? What are the common like ahas that you're seeing out there?
Yeah. So that's like one of the main reasons. One of the episodes we actually talk about is the stigma behind AI for educators. There's like a lot of educators don't see it the way we see it, which is why we're trying to put it out there a bit more. It's shooting the podcast is a little difficult because we're both in 2 different time zones. So we've got to make sure the kids fed, or they're in school, or we're not working. So we do manage somehow. We get an episode out there weekly. We're getting extra episodes too, and we have a lineup of some really special guests, so that will be interesting. But yeah, there is a lot of it's the lack of awareness for educators, which is what we're looking at right now.
As you're unrolling, like in the instances where you've seen someone flip from being skeptical about AI to being like all in on AI, what do you think is clicked for them? Like, has there been like a particular framing or an example that you've used that's really helped them make that switch?
Yeah, so much of teaching is scaffolding, which means meeting people where they're at, right? So what we need to do is speak to teachers in languages like in a language they understand and simplify it. Because I think the problem is that we assume that everybody wants to learn this or that there's an affinity for tech. You don't always see that. They've heard about AI. Someone told me yesterday, well, I heard AI is bad, so I don't use it. And I was like, well, let's unpack that. Right. Yeah, I know. And when you're in kind of a tech bubble, we tend to reinforce each other. Like it almost sounds crazy that people are thinking like this, but I'm in middle America. And so I hear this kind of thing a lot. And so opening up that conversation and saying, hey, what if you think of it as a tool? My favorite thing, actually, Brandon Middleton of Replit EDU uses this. He said this on our first conversation. He said, think of AI as a knife. If you use it to hurt someone, then it's bad. But if you use it to cook a meal, then it's good. Right. And so think of it as a tool rather than something that has its own, assigning some kind of moral issue or something to it and see what you can do with it. So kind of getting over that psychological stigma first and then saying, hey, let's start simple. Like, what's a problem you have? What's a lesson that you wish you could customize or digitize or not have to keep making again and again, and meet them where they're at. And that's when I see the switch flip for them, because it's like, oh wait, this is something I can do. I can use plain English now. I don't have to know how to code. I don't have to love technology. I can learn it. So
I think also there's a little wisdom to be taken out here that you kind of glossed over in those last comments, because I think exactly what you said is right. But also, not everyone wants to cook their own meal, right? And so like we're kind of in this vibe code moment where like we have a creative idea. You see a hole in the market, you see a problem, you see something you want to solve, and you're going to go build a tool for that. The cool part about that is that it's going to create an opportunity for you to go either just use it for yourself or sell it and go take it to other people that, like you said, maybe aren't thinking about this from a technical standpoint. Like, anybody can go get a knife and ingredients and whatever and cook a meal in their kitchen, but lots of us like to just go out to a restaurant and eat still. And I think Vibe Code is going to be in the same way, just like software development has always been, where people like you will go and create these cool tools. Some educators will see what you're doing and be like, oh, I can do that. And you will inspire them. And other ones will be like, oh, how can I buy this from you? And those are two like very like viable tracks. And I think both of those can exist in parallel. And so if you're out there watching this and you're thinking like, oh, like I don't know how this applies to me, or I don't know how I'm going to have this approach, you have the same opportunities here. All it is like identifying that problem, getting started building something. And then as people around you, especially if it's like a very industry specific solution, will start to notice that. And they will ask you questions. I'm sure you're getting questions from teachers and other people like, how are you doing this? Where is this coming from? Like, how did you get into this? Right. And so again, now that gives you the opportunity to either sell your product or to teach someone about how they can build their own thing. And both of those are empowering and kind of will elevate your whatever you're trying to do, your standing, your opportunity to earn revenue, your credibility as a creator, et cetera.
Right. No, that's such a great point. I recently did an agency demo for a bunch of teachers that contract through an educational agency, and 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 will say, "Oh, sign me up. I want to buy this." And I got 1 or 2 emails that were like, "Hey, teach me your ways."
Yep.
So, and this is, legitimately, I'm like, all right, let's schedule a call. Let's talk.
Well, and this is the opposite of the those who can do and those who can't teach phrase that people have been saying, right? Like, so now you're like, nope, we teach, we do, we all the things, here we are.
And we're used to going the extra mile for our students or whoever we're serving. It's the nature of the job. And so I think there are a lot of teachers who are builders and just don't know it yet.
Yeah, no, the teachers are builders. Like by default, you're building the education structure. Like you're literally, I don't understand how we've gotten to a point where teachers are like dismissed as this like trivial thing that like have become almost babysitters. Like it is a shame that our entire society has essentially turned into send the kids off to day camp and, like let the teachers just babysit them. Whereas like it should be one of the most important jobs in the world to educate our children, our youth, our next layer. And
Yes.
we've turned it into this like rote memorization, teach for the test, standardized, blah, blah. And again, I think we're entering this era where education is about to see a renaissance, just like any creative thing, because you can now amplify quality teachers, people who are looking to do this stuff. And so, yeah, folks want to fall into like, "Oh, I'm just going to sit here and do the thing and I retire in a couple years, whatever." But there's going to be a new era of educational institutions that are born all around this stuff. And it is going to create, hopefully, it might take 5, 10 years because you have to train the next generation, right? Like it literally, this stuff takes time just because you're having impact on real people. But no, teachers are some of the most important professions in our society. And I don't understand how it's gotten to a point where they are like not some of the top paid people and most important folks in our entire like industry, like all of it in the economy.
And what a great way to plant the seed for the next generation of builders. So if your teacher's using AI, you see that in the classroom, like, oh, this is how my teacher was able to help me with AI. Cool. Like you're going to start getting ideas of how you can use that for your own projects or in the future. It's going to be like a life skill that you're going to pick up from your teachers.
And then imagine just the students seeing how excited you get about building this stuff and seeing this stuff. And like
Yeah.
that becomes a second order like excitement level where like now maybe the students are like, how do we play?
Right.
And you open up a whole sandbox to them where like now they're, off TikTok and they're playing on Replit. Like that's
Yeah.
game on.
This is that's a good example because that brings me back to my app that I made. I showed my class and they were so intrigued by it. They had so many questions and they were like, I want to do this too. I'm sorry if there's noise in the background. And then they gave me ideas of what characters to add into my app. And it just makes them excited knowing that that's something that they could possibly do too.
Yes. And they love that representation and knowing that they can do it. I had a student who was extremely language deprived, deaf, loved tamales. Okay. And so a Chicago kid grew up on tamales. It's all he wanted to talk about. Even if he had very little language, I made him a math problem on the app and he was able to see himself as a character and he was counting his tamales and seeing that. And then knowing that this kid, even if he doesn't have the best written English, he can make this visually, and now he has the tools. And so it's fun to empower other teachers. It's so enriching for even the teacher to empower their students.
I've got a question here from the audience that I want to get to. Do you see teaching growing into more of a disciplinary thing? For example, multimedia, art teachers integrating code into their lessons?
Yeah, I think it's already happening at certain levels. The teacher teaches what they know. And so the more we get teachers familiar and work on tech literacy within educators, I think it's naturally going to progress in that way.
Mm-hmm.
People want to know when your podcast, when it drops and where they can find it.
Oh, it's pinned in the chat.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
How
it's classroom
often are
to
you rolling
code.
out? How often are you rolling out episodes now?
Every Teacher
Weekly?
Tuesday.
But then sometimes we have sneaky little episodes that we throw in there.
Yeah. We do demos. Noni will, she'll have an idea. She'll record a demo. She made her own screen recorder and she'll record her demo and throw it in there. So you can, keep an eye on things that pop up. We'll usually send it on X. We also have an email list. You can subscribe there and we'll send you emails when something drops. We're on YouTube, Spotify. Follow us. But every Teacher Tuesday, know to look for an episode until further notice. So.
Let's go.
People want to know
I'll
how
also
they
like
can
to add
contribute.
that it's like sorry. We are like teachers and moms, but the skills and the things that we talk about also apply to other people as well. So it's just because it's like Teacher Tuesday, you can still watch the episodes. They're all rounders really.
We're all teachers. We're all students. And
Yes.
if you forget that, then
It's
you
true.
lose sight of actually what's important in the world. And if you're not constantly learning, then, like you become stale. And
Yes.
yeah, you just have to think about that. Like we're maybe not all by profession, but having that teacher student mindset and always like being willing to learn and then teach people. And I think that's part of what makes this community so special because like, if you think about what's kind of causing the relationship formation is like, hey, I learned something and then I want to show other people how to teach that or how to build something like that. And by default, that is the teacher student relationship. So again, we're not all in classrooms. We're not all like in college or in elementary school or wherever we are, but that mindset is such a powerful thing to like maintain throughout your entire life. And you will move like light years faster through your professional career, through your creative career, through everything if you constantly maintain that idea.
100%. I think someone said, "How do you contribute?"
Yes.
Please reach out to us. We're very active on X, both of us. It's probably the fastest way, to be honest. I would say my email had 500 emails in it today. So if you email me, I may or may not get back to you. But X, yes, that's the best way. I think that was pinned somewhere. It's at NIFTech for me, NIFTEK. If you're a teacher or a parent, we've also interviewed dads. We love to bring people on and see what they're building. And we're inspired by it, and we like to inspire our audience. So reach out, tag us in things, show us what you're building. And we're always looking for guests and conversations. So
And think about how much of our build-a-thon winners, participation apps, et cetera, have been in that role, whether it's a homeschooler, whether it's an educator, whether it's,
Yeah.
again, like there is something about this we're all relearning, right? Like the playing field is being reset with these AI tools, and you can either be scared of them and think they're the end of the world, or you can start looking at them as, how do they give me this advantage to like take the next step in either my career or creative journey? And I think that's you two are both exemplary examples of that. So for anybody watching, just this is the moment. You know, we talk about this. We're early. We're early, and we will not stop beating that drum until at some point we tell you missed it. No, I'm kidding.
Amazing. All right. So Nadia, we found your X handle. Best way to get in contact with you. Noni, how about yourself? Is X the best place as well? If so, what's the handle?
Yeah, X is the best place. It's Noni and then underscore my actual name, which is Chanel. It's written on the screen, so
Okay.
you can find
And
me
when
on
we
there.
share the link at the end, we have a little website that we're going to share with all the winners. All the winners' profiles, their social posts, and also their community profiles will be in there so that everyone can kind of explore all the different winners. And if you want to connect with anybody, not all the winners will be on the stream today, but that way you can connect with all the profiles and have all the links in a single place.
Amazing. Well, and that's also another thing to note. We have 21 other winners aside from the guests that we have on the show today that are going to walk away with $100 in Replit credits. So if you think you might be one of them, continue to stay tuned. Noni, Nadia, amazing. Thank you so much for all of your work. It's so great to have you in the Replit universe. Keep doing all this amazing work, and looking forward to catching up again.
yeah, I want to say thank you to the
Thanks for
community.
having us.
You guys are awesome. You really are creating an atmosphere, and it feels like we're part of a community here. It's great. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all for everything you do.
Thanks. See ya.
Okay, that's great.
All right. How about that, man? Again, like they met during the build-a-thon, which
I think the Replit 10
so
build-a-thon,
cool.
right? The 10-year
Yeah.
build-a-thon. They
Yeah.
said air horn. I don't know. Jevon Washington said air horn, so you get it. You get an air horn.
You got it. Awesome. Okay, so next up, Rymar, we got with someone, not our usual pool for one of these, but I thought it was a really good post, interesting post. So let's chat about that. Let me bring that here up on screen. And let's see here. Our second guest here is Victoria Cavazos. And she had a really good post. Like, her thing was like, hey, like my power ranking isn't that high, but that's okay because I'm shipping what I care about. I'm shipping value for my users, and I'm just trusting the process to continue to build. And if this number goes up, that's great. But at the end of the day, I'm
Manny,
happy
can you
to be
switch your
building.
screen share? We're seeing the.
Oh.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Here we go. So yeah. So again, like the idea here is like, even if you don't have like the highest number, like still like, so long as you're shipping what's valuable to yourself, your team, or customers and users, that's really what we're after. Like any thoughts here?
Yeah, I think this is the student mentality. We just showed you a couple teachers, and this is the, I'm here to learn, I'm progressing, I'm in this journey, right? And so like we didn't just want to showcase like, here's everyone with the top stats across the industry. Let's find somebody who's finding their way, and let's talk to them and explore kind of what their journey's been like and what are they building. And again, we can all learn from everybody across the board, and so this is just it's a good attitude generally to have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, let's bring on Victoria. What's up, Victoria? How's it going?
Hey team, thank you Manny and Weimar for having me on. And also thank you to Nani and Nadia. It's such an honor to be on this live stream with them. I think the work they're doing is so cool and interesting. So very excited
That's
to
so
be on today.
that's cool. That's so cool. Did you know about them before the stream?
No, but I'm running to connect with them because I'm also a mom. And my mom is an educator, so I feel like she's going to benefit a ton from kind of following what Nadia and Nani are doing. I'm trying to get my mom on this AI train as well, so we'll
I'm
see how that
starting the Replit Moms,
Amazing.
community.
Yeah.
I remember in the Webflow days we had like a parents, like a flow parents, and so like there's different thoughts that you go through when you're building solo. Like me, I don't have kids, right? So like I'm up at 3 in the morning, whatever. And when you have kids, there's this other thing that you have to like fit into the mix, and so like all these other responsibilities come into play, and so it's a good interest group to like. Again, if folks are looking for their little niches in the community, like that's a good, umbrella to sit inside of.
Victoria, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're building, and also tell us a little bit about your post.
Okay, perfect. So I was in the Navy for the last 8 years. I was a surface warfare officer, so I drove ships, and I was also in charge of a division of sailors. So my last assignment, I was the weapons officer on the USS St. Louis, which is a littoral combat ship. It's kind of like a small, fast, agile ship. And I actually found Replit when I was transitioning out of the Navy. I actually just got out of the Navy a week ago. So
You got to
party.
introduce her to Cody.
To Nick.
Nick, yeah.
Oh.
Like
Cody's our resident Marine, ex-Marine, and then Nick Coe is our ex-naval officer. So I'll definitely put you two in touch.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I would love that. Well, Nick is actually someone who I connected with because he made an app for transitioning service members. I got a lot of value out of that.
Wow.
And we kind of just connected because he was like, oh, you're on your transition out of the Navy journey. And I went through that before. So he was kind of like mentoring me. He showed me Replit. And I was already kind of doing some work with like Claude Code and Lovable and like kind of exploring all these other tools. And with Replit, I just kind of started like getting into it and making all this stuff. The app C Smart that he and I are now collaborating on, he's my co-founder now. He and I mean, I built that just because I organically found a problem in like the Navy's training pipeline. And I thought, oh, like, why don't I pay it forward, make it easier for the people who are coming after me to sort of study for this really niche exam that we have to take. And Nick jumped on board and was like, how can I help? Let's do this. Like, this is awesome. So
amazing.
Yeah, I really, really have enjoyed this journey. So
tell us some more about C Smart, the app. What is it, and how did you go about building it?
Okay, so C Smart is a training app that I built for Navy sailors, primarily for Navy surface warfare officers. Basically, we have this exam that we have to take every month in order to maintain our proficiency for driving the ship. It's called Rules of the Road. So if you think about like the driver's ed test that you have to take to drive like on the highway or drive your car, mariners have that exact same thing, except the rules of the road are based on this like 1972 book written by the Coast Guard. And it's kind of a book that's written by lawyers, so it's rife with jargon and sort of legalese. And typically, I mean, when I started out in the Navy, I found it quite challenging to, like learn these rules. It's kind of one of those things where you have to practice all the time. You have to learn them all the time because if you're not studying and staying fresh, it's a very perishable skill. It's something that you could, lose within a couple of weeks. And, we have kind of a couple tools at our disposal to like study these rules, but I thought none of these really fit the way that sailors and officers in the Navy actually study. So that's kind of like why I built this quiz app, because I was trying to like really put myself in the shoes of, okay, maybe I only have like 20 minutes while I'm like waiting to eat lunch on the ship. Like, can I just whip out this app, kind of like study the rules while I have time instead of having to like pull out my book or bring the book with me everywhere. I also built like a board mode feature in there, which is a kind of like a pressured like timing thing. Because that kind of models the way that we have to do our boards in the Navy. We also have to do oral boards in addition to our written exams. So I wanted to give sailors a tool to kind of simulate that pressure so that when they actually get to the board, they're not cracking under the pressure in the board because they're just like used to it in the app. And I'm looking forward to building a ton more features, but for now, that's kind of a good starting point for us.
Yeah.
And Victoria, is this a web app or is this a mobile app?
This is actually a mobile app. So Nick and I submitted this to the App Store about a month ago, and we just got it in the App Store yesterday. So we are working through a couple bugs here and there, but I'm so proud and excited to announce that it's live on the App Store, and anybody can go use it now. So
How
that's called
long did you
Smart.
start working with Replit? First of all, the question one, how long ago?
I started in March, like the beginning
And
of March of this year.
and question two, at any time before that, did you think I'm going to build and ship a mobile app to the App Store?
Literally never. I literally never once thought about building apps in my life. I never thought that was possible for me. I've written about this before, but I used to really consider myself like non-technical. I was a liberal arts student. I majored in Spanish, so um, even in the Navy, even though we have to do like very technical things and learn technical skills in the Navy, I still kind of had this identity of like, well, I'm not really a builder, I'm not really a coder. And now I feel like I can do almost anything. Like, I mean, this has been so cool and empowering. And I tell all my friends too, like, they're like, whoa, how did you do that? I'm like, let me help you. You can do this too. And you should do it
That brings
because
us to your
it's really cool.
that brings us to your post. I think you had a really good post. You know, bottom 17%, but if anything, these stats help you trust your process. So maybe tell us a little bit more about this post. Where is this coming from? And can you tell us a little bit more about your process that you have more trust in now?
Okay, so when I am in Replit, I don't tend to just start building right away. That was kind of how I approached it when I first started using Replit. But then I realized like, oh, I can sort of like fully flesh out my plan and really be intentional about what I want the foundation to look like before I get in the agent and before I start like burning a ton of tokens. I'll be honest, like in the interest of conserving tokens, I've noticed that or credits. I have been a lot more intentional about just sort of building out my plan before I go into the editor. And I try to not let like the perfect prompt be the enemy of a good enough prompt. But I definitely saw like my prompt numbers. I think it was like only 30 prompts. And I was like, that can't be right. Like I feel like I've built and shipped like so much on Replit. And so like there's no way I only had 30 prompts. And I actually almost didn't post this because when I saw my stats, I was like, whoa, like who wants to say in public that they're in the bottom 17%? But then I was like, well, data only tells one part of the story, right? Like it's about how we interpret the data. Like this is one data point. This doesn't like define who I am as a builder, or define who I am as a person. So I decided to just kind of investigate like what that number meant and kind of what it meant for me and how I approach building. And when I kind of investigated more and thought about it, I was like, you know what, this could probably help other people who are also maybe feeling like, oh, well, I don't, I'm not a power builder. But I don't think everybody has to be a power builder in the same way that like you don't have to be a power lifter to also be a strong person or somebody who like maybe does some other kind of sport. I think it's kind of the cool thing that I've noticed about Replit is that different people have like different approaches, different ideas, different like ways that they design things or think through problems. And I just think it's kind of cool that Replit kind of celebrates that diversity of thought and idea. So that's why I ended up just posting that because I was like, surely there's somebody else here who's like also in like the bottom 10 or the bottom 20 and they're like, well, damn.
Well, and you just gave me, we talk all the time about how Reimar gets ideas on these live streams, but you just gave me an idea about maybe like personas.
Ooh.
And like, trajectory and like growing or rising or like intense builder. Like I don't know
Trending.
what those things are, but like you just gave me like imagine like an expanded set of buckets where like, yes, the numbers tell one quantitative picture. But there's this other thing that like is brewing underneath there that maybe we could also get good at like identifying and showing like, here's where you are on your journey or I don't know, right? Like, so anyway, just you gave me some things to think about there about about how to get better at these profiles, right? Because the profiles are just kind of pulling in raw data. We don't really know, I kind of just, about what the power ranking is. And I thought about what like how I might like to benchmark myself. But like you said, the power, like not everybody's going to go benchmark themselves against like the Olympic power lifter, right? Like sometimes I'm just the weekend warrior who wants to play flag football or get better at, just bending over and tying my shoes and not being uncomfortable, right? So like there's lots of different reasons why people use the tool, not necessarily to be like, that top ranked thing. And I think right now it's kind of skewed towards like, hey, here's what it looks like to be, in this power curve, this percentile ranking. But maybe we need to think about that a little deeper to fit some of those other use cases. So that will definitely be something we, cycle through as we go with these profiles.
I really like that you posted that. Like again, like it's a little uncomfortable, but your mindset was like, this might be helpful to someone else. So let me share it. And we talked about earlier in the show, like you got to step a little bit outside of your comfort zone. You never know what might happen. And like I saw that, I'm like, yes, thank you. Like, I don't see many posts like this. Everybody's posting like their 10.0. We're going to have a 10.0 on the show a little bit later, and they're 9.0s and they're like, yeah, like, but here's like Victoria saying like, hey, like, all right, numbers not that great, but I'm building. I'm having fun. I'm shipping value, and I think I'm gonna go up from here. Check this out. Might be helpful for folks.
Well, we talk a lot about the transparency and honesty and how that builds trust. And like,
Yes.
like I think in the social sphere, we all get locked up trying to like present our most beautiful version of ourselves, like this perfect curated view of ourselves. When I think what really resonates a lot of times is like the journey, the struggle, the process. And so like, that's what stood out to us when we saw this. And we were like, oh, this is a great opportunity to like highlight that, like, not everybody is, some advanced power user. People are just kind of focused on building their little things in the way they like to build. And that's like really okay too. And just again, caught our attention because of how, open it was.
And the fact that there are different builders at different parts of their journey in Replit. We have folks that have just started. We have folks with different styles and different specifications or requirements. Like Victoria here just started. She's very meticulous about her builds. Okay, like that's also someone else that's grabbing value from Replit. Not everybody's like on there like all day cranking out prompts left and right.
Yeah. Well, and some of us do this professionally, and others are doing it as hobbies, and some of them are doing it as fun with their kids or as part of like some other little side quest they're on. And so like, I think there's so many different ways to use Replit, so Victoria, you're just a great example. And I really like your approach where you're like, I'm being very methodical about, how I go in with these prompts, because I think a lot of people get into this like build mode where they quickly, and they just throw a bunch of stuff and then they churn and they're like, oh, this is expensive. It's like, well, you gave no thought to what you wanted to do before you started doing. And so it seems like your approach is more like, let me think about exactly what we're going to do here. Let me think about exactly how I want to talk to the agent about these things. And then let's figure out the most efficient way to go in and do some of that, which doesn't always lead to the most checkpoints or the most stats, but it might lead to a really well thought out product and a nice end result. So I like your approach there.
Thanks. I also want to say that I think it's totally valid if you are just in the agent kind of like prompting a lot, because, the agent has all that context that you don't have to reintroduce, because it also takes more time for me when I'm like being intentional about it. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's a trade-off, the technique that you want to use. Like if you're somebody who doesn't really care about token burn, but you really you're on a deadline, you want to get this done, and you want the agent to have like that rich context without you having to constantly prompt and re-prompt and like re-give that context, then that's a great way to build too. I just kind of wanted to share the way that I was approaching it in case there are other people out there who don't think that that's maybe like that maybe they feel like they don't have permission to build like that, or that they thought they had to be like in the agent always prompting like that.
Well, and people ask us all the time about optimizing their agent spend, and I think there's just a bunch of different approaches. This is one, and I think what you're talking about is really important. It depends on what part of the build process you are. Usually early on, before you have like, 30 different code files and there's this big context, like it's easier to be more methodical because you can like transfer the context of what you want to build into wherever you're doing that planning. Where, working directly in Replit gets, more beneficial is like the deeper and the bigger the project gets, because you kind of want all that context. So I think your optimization strategies have to shift as your project shifts as well. And so I don't know if you've noticed any of that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Manny, but
Yeah, I was just curious about plan mode. Have you been using that in Replit?
I love plan mode. I pretty much, because I'm a big planner, I love doing pretty much everything in plan mode. So even when I build out a big prompt, I go in and look at every phase that the agent has sort of like built out. And I just make sure that every step kind of like makes sense. And then I see if any of those steps can kind of either be reordered or like maybe reorganized, or if there's anything I could cut. Because it also just depends on where, kind of like what Reimer said earlier, like where you're at in the build process. Sometimes if I know I'm adding a feature that's just going to take a really, really long time, it's something that I might have to spend more time debugging. It depends on like what kind of time crunch I'm on. I might save that for another time and maybe take that out of phase one, and either just shelve that for later and then have the agent go ahead with phase two and phase three, or vice versa. It just kind of depends on, it depends on a lot, I guess. It depends on your time. It depends on what you specifically need at that moment. So I love the planning feature for that reason, because you can kind of see like agents telling you exactly what it's going to do. And that's kind of your chance to say like, well, I love that, but let's maybe shelf this for a minute or reorder that.
yeah.
Yeah, and plan mode is just much cheaper. I find like a good like
Yes.
plan mode session I think cost me like under $1, but the savings you're gonna get on not building something that is not helpful to you is just like huge.
One
Oh
other
my gosh.
thing for folks who are looking to optimize and think about this type of stuff, not just plan mode, but creating a parallel task enters you into plan mode. Creating a plan inside that parallel task and then building allows you to maybe explore parts of that feature and then determine whether or not you want to merge that into your real project. So it's a great way to think about, plan, and explore features as you move forward without committing to them fully, building in your main thread. And so, again, just a totally aside, just a Replit learning moment that as you use those new tasks and as you like experiment with new features, having those run in the background, being able to see and explore and tinker with those and then decide, yep, let's bring it into the whole project is like, also a really great way to be using Replit if you're not.
Okay. No, I'll definitely check that out.
Any other tips for new builders, Victoria, that you'd like to share?
I think that let's see, let me give my best tips. I think honestly, just starting and just getting into it. I think at first it can be really overwhelming to see there's a million different tools to choose from. There's a million different ways to approach things. But I think just kind of sending it, and not worrying too much about your ideas at first. Like, don't get caught up too much in your head of like, well, is this like the perfect idea I want to execute on? If you can execute on one idea, even if it's like kind of sloppy or bad, or maybe not like your dream vision, you kind of have to start exercising that muscle somewhere. With any kind of art, it's just like, the same thing with like writing or like making movies. Like you can't just like make the thing that's in your head right off the bat. But I think like for me, starting on like smaller ideas, smaller projects, things that kind of had lower stakes for me, and then seeing that I could actually build it in Replit was kind of like, oh, okay, well, now I'm really familiar with this tool. Now I'm really familiar with this workspace. And each time that you get in Replit and you build, you sort of expand on your skills and you expand what's possible for you next time. So I would just say, just do as much as you can and take advantage of like community events. Like I know you guys do a lot of outreach and you guys do a lot of like giving away like $50 in credits here, $100 in credits here. I certainly, that's going to be a boon for me, because when you have free credits, it's kind of like, okay, well, I can be a little silly with how I work. I don't have to be perfect here.
Turbo mode activated this weekend.
No, literally. I know. I already told Nick I'm reinvesting this $100 Replit credit into the business. So I'll be building new features in C Smart.
For anybody watching, that's like continued subliminal messaging towards the exercise and muscle. Noni and Nadia were talking about it's a muscle you have to flex. We've just been talking about powerlifting, and you just made another reference to like, like flexing, and I forget exactly what you said about like working that muscle out. But I think that's a good reference for a lot of folks in the space, this builder analogy of like working out. Like when you first start working out, it's very difficult. It's not exactly like something that you're like, oh, I love this. And so building and this creative journey could be the same way as you start thinking about, how do I create content? How do I get out there? How do I become a marketer, an SEO expert? Like you have to do all these things, and it's very difficult. It's like walking into this big gym with all these machines and you're like, what am I supposed to do here? Right? And so again, you just have to find one or two things that fit and then get into the routine. And as you get into the routine, your body starts asking for more things. You start getting more familiar with different machines, different exercises. And then next thing you know, it becomes part of your natural, progression and comfort zone. So anyway, subliminally, we have an undertone of exercise and flexing muscles in this episode here.
Oh, and in the same vein of that, Raymar, I want to say people want to help you. If you're a beginning builder and you get stuck somewhere, like there's literally an entire community of people in Replit, out of Replit, but especially in Replit. People want to help you. So like, don't give up if you get frustrated or stuck. Ask for help. Like literally any of us are going to jump in and do what we can.
And be vocal about it. I think it's so tough to be out there saying that you're a beginner and feeling like you're not like, you know what you're talking about. But Victoria, I think, one of the cool things that you did is you hooked up with Nick. He's a power user. He's like one of our best users here at Replit. He has expertise, the Navy. And I think just by you being out there like, hey, I don't know how to get started. Here's my idea. Like, here's what I have. Nick probably saw that as like, oh, like I want to invest in Victoria. I want to jump on here with Victoria and build this out. So I think that was such a great thing you did. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how did you think about bringing on a mentor like Nick? And then how do you see leveraging Nick? Because I would imagine that he's not in the app building with you, but you kind of want to be like somewhat judicious about how you leverage someone like Nick, who's like probably so busy and has so much to share. Like maybe talk about how you think about working with that in that relationship.
That's a great question. Thanks. So when I brought Nick on as my co-founder, I'd already had kind of an MVP where I'd already shipped it out to, it wasn't on the App Store yet, but I had shipped out kind of like a demo / prototype out to a bunch of people in the fleet. And the whole reason why I even started really delving into this project is because a couple of Navy captains sent it out to basically like the head navigators of the Navy on each coast. And people were saying, we love this. This would be great for the Navy. And so I was getting kind of a lot of validation from the community, particularly from the people who are in charge of training the Navy. And I thought, oh, okay, so maybe this isn't just like my little fun side project that I was going to like give to my friends. And Nick was somebody who I was probably calling every couple weeks just to kind of keep him updated on my transition. And I was like, Nick, you'll never believe this, but people are actually interested in the app that I made. I can't believe it. And he was like, yeah, let's talk more about that. And as a conversation developed, he was like, well, I'd be really interested in coming in as your co-founder. And I was like, yes, please, because I spent the last 8 years in the Navy not developing software, not doing any kind of sales, not doing any kind of business, really just grinding on like my Navy stuff. You know what I mean? Doing a lot of ship handling, doing a lot of leadership, doing a lot of, overseeing like the maintenance on equipment. So to me, this is like a brand new world. This is like a complete foreign area for me. And Nick is kind of there to help me navigate all the nuance of that, which I love. And I just kind of like soak up everything he says like a sponge, and everything that he teaches me. Yeah, basically I'm the student here. And yeah, I feel like having somebody like Nick on board is just like helping me level up like more and more every single day. But that's also like the power of community, because even if you find somebody who's just one step ahead of you, like Nick in my mind is like 10 steps ahead of me. But even if you find that person that's like 1 or 2 steps ahead of you, you grow so much faster and go so much further than you would just kind of like stumbling through it on your own, If
I were to abstract that as a playbook for new builders, it would be, get the idea, get the prototype, get it out there, talk to people, put it on people's radar, and then update folks that you might be interested in working with on a regular basis, and then allow them to raise their hand and say, hey, this is great. I see that you got some momentum here. Let me jump on board. Let me help you more. So I think that is the right playbook. Raimar, I'm sure you've also been in this position where you've got people reaching out to you like, hey, can I help? Can I get help on this? And like they come and they're so early, they haven't done anything. They're like, hey, can I help start building this in Asia? I'm like, okay, why haven't you already built it? Like, why are you reaching out to me without a link, without some posts that you've done, without a website, without a prototype? Like, to me, you're just like, you want me to come in way too early and help you, when really you should be out there and just like telling me what you're doing, showing me, tagging me on posts, and letting me like get notice of you and say like, yeah, this is a person that's grinding. They're like already got some momentum. This is a person that I really want to help and support.
Yeah, make it easy for us to help, like make it easy for us to get excited about jumping in and offering support. And not just us, but anybody you reach out to, right? Most anybody who's in a position to actually offer good feedback also has a lot of things going on. And so to capture their attention or to get them to give you time, the more you can do to like make it an appealing request is, like super valuable. Yeah. Anyway, just at the risk of derailing the whole conversation here with your app, have you thought about? And I know it's very serious. It's military. It's I keep thinking about Battleship, and like, could you put a game in there, and could you put some fun little thing that's gonna like help draw people in, and like, again, take some of the learnings, but maybe make it a little visually fun and kind of playful, and let people test their skills in the game before they go learn the thing. And I don't know, right? I'm just thinking about like, and maybe you don't need this virality or any of that, but I'm just thinking like, what could you add to this app that would be totally fun, kind of off the wall a little bit, still tied to your thing, but also make it like instantly shareable to people who are like in the space? Because the learning thing is one trajectory, but like if somebody's like, oh, here's this continuing education app, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But if like I'm like studying for this thing and I'm like, nah, come play Battleship with me, or come play whatever you call it, and it becomes this way to share the app. And then like as you do this thing, you're learning, and then we're playing a little game together every once in a while, or I get to destroy your ship, or I get to move around you or navigate. I don't know what the thing is, right? Like I don't really know and understand what you're doing here, but just I always think about like, what are those little viral things you could put on it, or what's the little nugget that you could add to make it more shareable, more engagement, more of a hook for the users to kind of keep coming back.
Oh, I love that. I love everything that you're saying about that, because I've also kind of been thinking, how do I gamify this a little bit so that it's a little bit more fun and it encourages people to kind of get back on. I mean, ultimately why I built this study app is learning rules of the road is probably the most important thing you do as a ship handler. If you don't know the rules, you're putting your entire crew at risk because you're more likely to crash the ship.
It's like the Tamagotchi of your ship. So maybe like as you learn it, like, oh, sorry, you sunk your ship, you got to start over now. Or like, hey, you landed successfully on your thing. And part of it is like getting to the journey or whatever. Like I could see just so many ways to take the learning knowledge, visualize that in a unique way, and just make the app just a lot more playful.
Here's the thought, Ryan. I think people would love to see that live. So maybe we do a live stream. We bring Victoria on and we just jam on her app with Victoria, have it be on Replit for being on the live stream. And then people get, we talk to Victoria about some of those ideas. We prototype them, and then we let the chat chime in and work with through them with us. So if you want to see that, drop in the chat. We might schedule that.
Yeah, this is perfect type of stuff for like our office hours where we're like getting hands-on. We've got more ability for people to get interactive and ask questions and kind of like, so we're very much thinking about how to bring other folks in to build and show us their workflows and stuff like that. So yeah, let's keep thinking about that.
I might have to steal something from you guys' playbook, because I love this like community profile thing. Surface warfare officers are very competitive. On a ship, we're like in the wardroom, all the officers, like the ones that are in charge of driving the ships, there's maybe like 13 or 15 of us, and we're always ribbing on each other like, oh, I see you didn't get like a good score on your exam, like, oh, study much, you know what I mean? And so I think having like a profile like this,
you're being very gentle with that language compared to what actually happens.
Well, I'm trying to be aware of my audience right now, so yeah, I'm kind of tone it down, try to take the Navy out of it. But basically, yeah, I think having some kind of like leaderboard where it kind of makes it competitive and people are like, because we already are competitive. So I think another part of like building useful things for your community is like knowing the audience and like knowing kind of like the types of people who are using this. And so I think that kind of building a feature into the app that's already going to feed on this pre-existing sense of like competition, but also like camaraderie, because like the competition isn't about cutting people down. It's about making everyone better together. So I think like this kind of leaderboard is kind of perfect because you can kind of, imagine you open the app and you're like, oh, I can see like the person I'm on watch with is like in the bottom 17. Like, let me go like nudge them so that they can, study more and get better. And I think that that's cool and empowering.
I will grab that segment from the transcript, Victoria. I'll send it to you. Just drop it in as a new task, and have it kick into plan mode. And I'm curious to see what agent comes back with you. So just grab that and drop it in there, man. I think it would be cool.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
That is an underrated, again, Replit tip. Manny, when I sent the internal profiles, when I sent the community profiles internally for a team, Manny gave me like this really good note with like feedback. I literally copied and pasted the note, took it into the agent, and I said, hey, how do we implement? What's the best? Like, what can we take from this? Let's focus on A, B, and C, because those were like, I knew they could be quick wins. And literally within 10 or 15 minutes, I sent Manny back, or I don't know what the timeline was, but I sent Manny back a link and I said, hey, this stuff's implemented now. Go check it out. So, email conversations, Slack threads, all these different things are all really good ways to, again, take some of that stuff and, think through, throw it in plan mode and like talk to the agent about like, hey, how can this help, improve the project?
Alpha Fridays, let's go. Victoria, amazing. I think we got to have you back on sometime soon. You're so great. We love what you're building, and I just love where you are in your journey. I feel like you're gonna like just 10x from here, like in no time. And I really want to make sure we're capturing that for everybody and for the community. What's the best way for people to follow you on socials?
Definitely LinkedIn. That's kind of where I'm most active.
Okay, awesome. We'll drop a link to her LinkedIn profile in the chat. We'll also include it in the show notes. Victoria, thank you so much. I'm curious, I know Simplify is for the Marines. Is there like a similar tagline for the Navy?
I mean, I guess we say like "hoo-yah."
Yeah. All right. All right. Awesome. Hoo-yah. Let's go.
Hoo-yah. Yeah. Hoo-yah, Replit.
Hoo-yah, Replit. Thank you so much, Victoria, for coming on the show. We'll chat soon.
Okay. Chat soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Good chatting with you.
Bye.
Okay. Oof.
Wow.
Yeah. It's so much good insights. Alpha Friday, right? It's starting to become product, community, etc. So yeah, and I think we have the next guest is going to be also quite interesting because it's the opposite of that with like crazy high numbers and scores and things like that. The question I have for you, Manny, is before we drop that in here, do we want to just run through and at least show the top 25 winners screen and share that out? Or do we want to like fully tease to the end?
I think people got to stick around. If they want to see if they've won $100 in credits, they got to stick around for just a little bit longer.
All right, listen, I tried, folks. I tried. So
we do have a monster builder here lined up waiting for us backstage. Marcel he shared this amazing profile. I think the first, maybe the only 10.0 I saw out there outside of Replit.
I think not, was it Nadia or not Noni? One of them had a 10. It wasn't like their total score, but it was like their 90-day score or their like 30-day score or something. But I didn't see very many. This was like almost 10s across the board. So when we saw Marcel, his profile was just like lit up. I'd be interested to know what he's building, what's he working on. 0.3%, 10, almost 10s across the board here. So yeah, let's see what you're up to.
Let's bring him on. Hey, Marcel, how's it going? 10.0 power builder here live with us. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, everyone. Great to be in this session today. Yeah.
Awesome. Marcel, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background? What's your profile? What are you building on Replit?
Yeah, the interesting thing is my background is actually classical software development, we are a Microsoft partner, so I'm actually working in the Microsoft space since more than 20 years. And 14 years ago, we founded an own company, which is also a Microsoft partner, and mainly focusing on classic things like SharePoint and so on. I would say I was a builder already 20 years ago when my whole thing started, right? We were building websites, PHP, then jQuery came up, all these things which kind of, were doable, but it was messy. And when Replit came up, it was basically because I couldn't solve a problem with another AI tool, and I just tried with Replit, and I was really, really impressed. At this time, it was, I think, last November or so. It was another version of the product for sure, as we have today, but
To get a little bit of a
from
lag.
there, the whole story started. That's why I burned a lot more tokens and a lot, maybe also unnecessary, because my personality is just, I really like to build. I like to try different things. As Raymar said, sometimes a little bit nitty gritty on the details where you're stuck. So these are all things which make my Replit journey, and I think make this result too. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're building? You've got some great stats, so you're obviously on Replit all the time. Are you building mostly for work or for personal projects?
Most of these projects somehow are work related, for sure. Obviously, I started with personal projects, but nowadays we have a market, so that is our advantage. We have a customer base where we can operate on and bring value with these technologies. So, my token usage is maybe a little bit different than for some other people. By the end of the day, I have to get the money in too, but
Right.
I have a base for that. So it's
Well, that's where the 10.0 comes from. You've got you're very incentivized to be getting those numbers up because you're doing this for work.
initially, it was the situation that every day I got a bill for $50. Now every day it's something like 250, which is coming in. But why is that? We have to be relatively clear that Replit is not just a thing we're using to build for customer or SaaS services. It's a thing which we use internally heavily. Take an example, a customer, we have to participate in a lot of RFPs, right? Public RFPs. So we get information in about what the customers would like to have, and we use Replit from there already. So we spin up websites, we create the content, we define catalogs with RFP answers. As you might understand, in our business, these are not small documents. And then we go on, we build prototypes for the customers already. We build even like small websites, so we don't send you just a PDF. You get the PDF too for legal reasons, but on the other side you get a done website, which for example is explaining your initiative. From there, it goes to internal tooling, time booking, marketing, help desk, and so on, which we all connected to the Microsoft space, let's say. But we are using Replit in many ways for the front end and to unify things. And that is also one reason why we are using a little bit more tokens than other people, plus my inefficiency. I said Victoria is more like a planner, everything. Me no. Meanwhile, I trust Replit very well. So different characters there.
Well, yeah, you're in a different spot too. Like for you, like your time is probably like, more scarce, I think. So you just maybe just go into power mode and you're like, here, Replit, build this, push it back to main, I trust you, kind of thing.
Several of these situations lately, last minute thing, something which has to be prepared. Sometimes we have to work with power mode too, and we can get ready things before 5 minutes before an important presentation.
Can you talk a little bit more about what you're delivering to customers? Like maybe some of your favorite examples of what you were able to build with Replit?
Yeah. Let's say my maker journey with Replit is really strange. I started to implement a application, which is basically just a PDF merge service, which I could not implement well on the Microsoft native platform because I was not intelligent enough, let's say. So I just spun it up with Replit and I started to get used to this experience. So then it was November, December when OpenClaw came up. At this point, it was called Maltbot still. And maybe you know that this agent technology evolved really fast, had to change names, whatever. So my vision was X was full with people, right? Going in, how can we host that safely, not to run it on my machine. I do not fully trust an autonomous agent on my machine. And maybe I want to try it out in a business context where I should never put it on my machine. And I had this simple idea, let's build a service, right, to host these agents, VPS. So I went to Replit and simply said what I need in normal language. I don't use advanced prompting and so on. I'm really just a basic guy there. But Replit always had a way to lay out the work very well. And by the end of the day, this project evolved into something that I actually built a Replit suite to deploy VPS at Hetzner, including, for example, the installation in the VPS of OpenClaw. So my first OpenClaw installation, at this point, it was pretty clunky. Everyone who knows these technologies know they're clunky early, but they were the base for a lot of agentic use cases today. And the interesting thing is, Replit, I had a Replit solution built to deploy a relatively complex software at this point of time, which I could not even install on my normal machine normally with my knowledge. So Replit even helped me there to kind of overcome my technical problems. As said, I'm 20 years in this space, so I come with some skills in scripting and all these things. But that was the point where I said, okay, now it's game over. Because from then I understood that's another league. And, you know, in the Microsoft space, everything is slower, let's say, because of security, let's say, because just of enterprise adoption reasons. And Replit was always the thing which was fast. So I just started to build everything which came in on Replit. It started with our website, which meanwhile, it's incredible, right? We started with the website. We had a good website before, Webflow, everything nice, done by a designer. So I just took it, threw it at Replit, and Replit helped me first time in 14 years of company history to have proper content on the website.
Wow.
That resulted in something really crazy, right? A lot of new requests. After a certain while, now we can compete against big players because our market, we like a small company, 10 people. Other players come with 200-300 people, and we're competitors every day. But lately, they see problems, and this is all thanks to Replit. We're building things, you know, like ERP systems. We're right now building a full payroll outsourcing system, which is all connected to core systems with specific ERP systems, for example. And I have to say, Replit is really, really capable. Even you don't need to be so specific how you work, right? It does a lot of stuff in the background. If you compare that to a professional, let's say, AI dev workflow, which can be in GitHub Copilot, Visual Studio Code, for example, it really, really takes a lot. And if we compare the cost and if we compare the security also, and that's a big aspect in our market, Replit has a very good setting. So meanwhile, everything which comes in, we just throw at Replit. And that's why our token usage is so high, right? Something is building the whole day. And one of the really cool things is these auto-suggest features, right? In the beginning, when auto-suggest came into Agent, I saw Amchad, okay, maybe a beginning of more automated building of applications. And now I see that, yeah, it gives me hundreds of tasks. And these tasks are so good and so granular. If you want to build an application on enterprise level, you might need to do some things a little bit different than if you just throw something out in the internet. And we see that even these workflows, meanwhile, are very well supported. Plus, they're also accepted more and more in our market. Yeah, interesting times.
Amazing. You're specifically selling into companies that are on Microsoft Azure. I'm curious. We've been rolling out a lot more integrations into these platforms, GCP, Microsoft Azure. We're also now pushing, making it available so you can push into Fabric as well, Microsoft Fabric. I guess
Yeah.
I'm curious, have you been taking advantage of those new integrations? If not, like what else can we do better to make your life easier as you're selling into Microsoft-based companies?
So what I can say is I am just working on a potential deployment on Fabric the first time. So this deal we have to get in. It looks promising. And on the other side, what we do from a dev perspective, we just connect, for example, the Replit agent to internal DevOps systems of our company. And from there, we build and we deploy fully automated to Azure hosted environments or other Swiss hosted environments, because in our market, the whole GDPR thing is really still a key topic. Yeah.
This is the kind of interview that I've been waiting to kind of start exploring, because, and Manny, I think like this is going to be our sweet spot over the next 6 months, let's say, is folks who are building these internal tools very quietly, building real things for enterprises, like having meaningful impact inside of an organization in a way that like maybe is never going to go viral or be something that you're going to build in public, showing, on X or on LinkedIn or in some of the social spheres. And finding these stories, pulling these threads and getting them kind of into the surface. Again, we talked about like, our goal being focus on the thing that we can do that nobody else can do. And those types of things is really where Replit shines, right? Like lots of other companies are using vibe coding tools, but they're not building the end state solutions, right? They're not actually deploying these things into the real like environment to do the work. They're building the prototype that then some team has to go rebuild. And so Marcel, I'd be interested to know, did you experiment with other platforms? How has your process been, building these solutions or finding these enterprise style clients? Like what are you, maybe you can give us a little bit of insights onto that side of things.
Yeah. Okay, our situation is that we currently only work with Replit, and everything else is professional dev tooling, GitHub Copilot, and so on. So platform-wise, we stay with Replit. It's easier for the team too. Some of my colleagues are in the call too. So that's like more an example of how Replit can, let's say, evolve within a company maybe and enable other team members to do stuff which they could not do before or not on this quality. So my team is focusing on Replit only, not much experience on other things, but honestly, I don't see much reason right now to look at other things, because you get used to the Replit workflow kind of, as we discussed before. Agents learn and evolve in the process. So if you develop more complex solutions, let's give you an example of an ERP system. It has maybe 50, smaller ERP system has maybe 50 data tables. It has a lot of relation. It needs a service layer. It needs security. It needs tons of things on top. And if you want to bring all of this together, you still need a certain knowledge for sure. But on the other side, Replit is really helping and adapting and evolving on sometimes daily, weekly base. As we see, sometimes the LLMs have little hiccups in general, then we can see things at Replit too, which are hiccupy, but all in all, we're sure we're going to continue there. And also there is a little story with Microsoft, right, from your side, that you were part of the build, which is a very big developer conference, and especially these deployments, which we can make within an existing enterprise premise, that is very promising. Yeah.
I don't think people on this stream appreciate how much demand we're getting from the enterprise side. It is bonkers. Just
Imagine.
like, yeah, like at the beginning of this year, we said, the key theme for this year, for 2026, is that vibe coding is going pro. And what we meant by that is that you're going to see more and more enterprises and companies start using vibe coding, leveraging it for internal tools, working with folks like Marcel to build out custom tools for their company and bringing that into the enterprise. And man, has that played out. You should see the updates that we have here internally on Slack in terms of the leads, the deals that we're closing, the logos. It is just bonkers. And so that's why you're seeing, like, every week we're telling you about a new integration that we have with Databricks, with Snowflake, with Microsoft, with GCP, with Amazon, just because we're trying to stay pace with all of this demand, all the infrastructure and needs that you need to go into enterprise. The other thing that we'll say is, like, you also see us also constantly roll out new security updates. And a lot of that is being driven by the work that we're seeing on the enterprise side. In enterprise, you cannot mess around with security. It's like, it's a game over. It's like, it's a conversation non-starter. So we have to build out really tight security to be able to sell into big enterprises. But then we just say, like, hey, wouldn't it be nice to have this available for everybody else? Like, so even if you're not selling into enterprise, if you're just building your own personal project, we'll just turn that on for you too, because we want to make sure that you're staying safe while you're vibe coding. So so glad that you're sharing this perspective, Marcel, because it's what we're seeing internally. It's like this huge boom time in enterprise for vibe coding.
And what I, the key point for me, right, Microsoft is wonderful, right? It's an absolutely interesting platform in any ways, but flexibility is missing. And what we see is that, especially in bigger projects, prototyping, all these types of things, if you see people nowadays, as soon as they trust Replit, they can just create. But I have to tell them, hey, just what you're telling me, tell that to the agent. See what's going to happen. We're going to meet again tomorrow. No, really? Right? How people have kind of even worries sometimes to use it. As soon as they are there and know that it's a safe environment. Even little things like a dev environment is there out of the box, prod environment staging is there out of the box, versioning is there out of the box. These are all questions we get in enterprise a lot, because that's their main interest. And as soon as this is gone, it's a fire hose, right? That's what you
well,
will
and there's
see
one
on
other
the
thing
web.
too, from an enterprise standpoint, that I want to make sure we throw in there, is that because of SSO, because of the way that you can lock down a workspace, that not only, like, are those protections in place, but you can then open up access to some of those tools and lock it down at a higher level, so that people can experiment but not actually publish or extract that in a public way. So again, you can give somebody in the enterprise the ability to connect, tinker, build, and create these things. And instead of like deploying an app, you're really just kind of publishing and sharing this, like, almost like you would in a Google Docs, or sharing a PowerPoint presentation. You're sharing like this artifact that then you can spread around the enterprise. And then again, like, the enterprise knows this is secure. This didn't leak out somewhere. We're not showing customer data because, Frank in HR just hit publish and now it's out to the world because he didn't realize that. And so again, like, the rails and the guards that are there for enterprises is so important. And again, they're not there for, I don't know another vibe code platform on the block that has anything like this.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're on by default in many ways. If you look at the enterprise platform, but also the normal platform, there's so many things which are just important, especially in every enterprise market, right? You will face these questions, and once these things are resolved, people are really shouting, and they're just yapping at the agents, and they understand, oh, something good coming out. I think what is important is it's still code. There are several things which we need to take care of when we deploy code to customer sites. There is still also some responsibility maybe from our side, which we have to be aware of from a business perspective. But all in all, each customer which has something from us with Replit, they just want to move on, learn more, do things on their own. And that's exactly also what was discussed before. We should all have this. It puts you in a cool role, right? It's just much more fun if you can build things for people. People are happy again. It's not just like this application like SharePoint, which kind of looks the same 20 years now. Another thing will come, but it took very, very long, and that's okay. With Replit, we can provide value much faster and safe. That is key.
Well, and imagine how the employees feel in this space. Imagine you are Sally in HR or Steve in whatever department, and for so long in your career, you've been like, I wish we could do this thing, or I've been working with this company for 10 years and like, oh, if our system did X, Y, or Z, but then they just feel like, oh, nobody's ever listening to me. I'm never going to get a chance to build that. I'm never going to get the dev resources. I'm never going to, and so they get discouraged, right? And so they're like, I got to do this shitty process every time. And it's like repetition. They're like just beating their head against the wall. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, Sally, Steve, try this, and next thing you know, you unlock a piece of them, you give them tools. As the organization, you start pulling IP and like interesting ideas out of corners that just you never thought existed. And then solutions are like presenting themselves in ways where you're just like, of course, why didn't we think about this? And so that type of thing for employee retention, for customer, for satisfaction across the board, for again, like the growth of the business, unlocking these things that all only used to come from like a really small group of people, is the upside here. It's like that is all sorts of intangibles that come along with this, in addition to whatever impact this could have for the enterprise long term on the bottom line.
Chat's loving this. Someone said, this is sauce. What I recently learned, Raimar, this is sauce means this is alpha. So Alpha Friday, saucy.
Yeah, welcome
saucy
to
Friday.
welcome
I
to
just learned
Slings
that. So people are loving this, Marcel.
That's like 10 years old too.
Really?
Man. You gotta get on.
Oh man, I gotta hang out more with these young kids now.
Internet culture.
There are some good questions here in the chat, Marcel. People are loving this. People want to know how many folks are on your team. And then secondly, I'd love to know about your onboarding process. Like as you bring somebody on to your team, how do you introduce them to Replit? How are you working together in Replit?
Thank you. That's a really good question. So my team is 10 people currently. We are a small team and a stable team since quite a while. That's also the goal. And how do I onboard people? I just send them a login to Replit, and mostly they have a project which I share with them. So my first crazy ideas, and then we continue, or they continue, because I think it's really important. You have to own the story. When you do a little bit more distributed work, it's important that everyone kind of owns their part, even though Replit is very good in working together in real time, right? The thing is, for smaller stuff, that works pretty well. When it comes to more complex stuff, there is still potential. So we try to split up the work in different areas. And from there, we just go. And we go with very early customer feedback. So mostly when someone requests a proposal, they just get a link with a prototype, plus a website where we describe exactly what our solution approach is. And, we did crazy things lately during the Build-a-thon. Thank you very much for that, but also for the free usage. What we did is we just went and said, okay, let's try. Everyone takes a really big website here in Switzerland, like, for example, a government website or community something, and let's see what we can come up with. So we just kind of tried, okay, how far can we go? And this is giving a lot of surety by the end of the day, because you understand, look, Replit, everyone is kind of still from a professional code side not so happy about vibe coding. Yes, I also get why on one side, but on the other side, with Replit in your hands, you can do everything. And that's what I try to show my employees by just telling them crazy things like, okay, you now go, you try to modernize a website which maybe costed 1 million to make at this point of time, right? So that's really empowering, because then you learn to break up the borders, and you learn that it's in your imaginability mostly how far you can go. For sure, you need some technical skills if you want to go really, really far, but you can do a lot with absolutely non-technical skills nowadays, and the results are good.
Kurt, here's another good.
Just
Sorry,
this quote here. Hang on, bro. They pay him, and he gets Replit to build it. Ha ha! This is great. That's the game, folks. I don't know if you're paying attention, but if you think your job is to pay Replit, like you're not paying attention to anything here, right? If you think it's your job to just pay the Replit bill, you're not really paying attention to where we're headed. The whole goal is to get other people to pay you for working inside of this tool. So yes, Jevon, you named it here, bro. This is exactly the game we're trying to get everyone playing.
Business is business by the end of the day, and I think that's
100%. Good question here from Kurt. Marcel, can you talk a little bit about how you scale with Replit? Like any challenges, any tips? So it's one thing to go from a prototype, but then you're rolling it out into an enterprise with a whole bunch of different users. Like any tips there in terms of handling that scaling shift?
Yeah. Thank you. That's also a very good question. So first of all, it depends where the solution runs. If the customer is okay that the solution runs on the normal Replit infrastructure in Europe, which we lately see. By the way, now actually, if you create things in Europe, it really works. You know, there was an issue with the blob storage thingy, which blocked us a lot. But now everything fine. Thank you for that. So a lot of our customers are okay with deploying at least until a certain point of time on Replit. What we do then is we normally go with dedicated VMs, depending on the workload. So in Replit, if you publish, you have multiple options, right? How you want to host. The default is that you are it's never a shared environment, but by the end of the day, it's always a dedicated environment. That's important, but still kind of shared. If you go with dedicated VM, you really get a VM. You can also partially connect to that, and that will help you to scale wherever you want. Not whatever you want, but you can actually go pretty far with these machines. They have proper resources, and I don't need these resources. What we do in the development process, and I think that's even more important. So every application we implement full testing. We just tell the agent, okay, agent, after a certain while, please implement end-to-end testing. Just tell it that E2E testing, Playwright, and it will do two things. It will, first of all your API calls, for example, will be tried out. So that means the connection normally in the backend, as we say, is valid. So is a data input acceptable or not? That can all be automated. Then the next step is you go in and tell him to do Playwright tests. That means Replit will do computer use and just play with the test mode as you see it. We do it slightly differently, but that's a good thing to use. So you know people will not, for example, meet a button on the first click which is not working, right? All such stuff. Then we go further and we also do security checks before we release. There, I recommend to update the packages regularly if you have something internet facing anyway. If not, you can be a little bit more defensive because Replit has good protection there. It's also like package scanning, which they do. So malicious NPM packages will not just automatically land in your Replit instance, but security scan after, let's say, 10 bigger changes or features or feature implementation, we recommend to run the security scan. It's additional cost. I don't know how many of my tokens were used for that, but I can tell you a lot, because security is not 0 and 1 in many cases. You will do one scan, you go in, and it fixes 3-4 things. But based on that, the circumstances are changing. So if you maybe have a next scan, you will learn much more. And these are things we do before we ship something. What I'm not aware of is performance testing and so on. Definitely it's doable. Our solutions are normally covering not thousands of users, right? We have solutions which cover 10,000s of users, but these are running on top of SharePoint, for example, as a platform, but were developed because it's JavaScript, SharePoint framework. You can use kind of any JavaScript framework you like to develop. And that thing runs on another infrastructure. So typically scaling workloads like Replit, if you have a Postgres database, for example, or any other type, maybe in the enterprise, you want to start with SQL, for example, which you can also do in Replit, no problem. You can host it if you want at Azure and just use it from there within Replit in a safe way. Then what you want to make sure is that everything which is architecture, like long-running jobs, all the stuff which just consumes a lot of power, you want to implement this in an efficient way. And what we do, as said before, for example, long-running operations, have a solution where people are running operations on a Microsoft environment for 2-3 days. So this will die in Replit, right? If you put that on just a normal public plan, it will simply not survive. Why? Because the process is shared, it will recycle and so on. So these are all things you can easily tackle within the Replit infrastructure, and you can make them high available up to a certain level, or then you have to implement that on your own infrastructure. Last thing to add is everything UI, so web hosting things, you can distribute. And
Ew.
Got him glitching here. Hopefully it comes back.
for example, yeah, all the scaling there already. If you do it in Azure, you need the Azure skills. For that, I have enough experience, and my team has enough experience.
Marcel, would you mind repeating that last point? You glitched out a little bit. It's something to the effect of scaling the UI element.
Yeah, multiple layers, right? We have database scaling on one side, then we have a backend services layer, which we kind of need to scale, and then we have the web front end. And with the webs, it's always the question, what do you want to do? Because a default web which you create in Replit will come anyway, I think, with 3 worker instances in the web area. So they do kind of high availability automatically. And I would just suggest to give more power if it's not enough. But I didn't do any proper performance testing with all the tokens I burned. I do functional testing, mock testing, E2E. That's valuable to us.
Amazing. The chat's loving this. There's a bunch of other questions that I want to get to, but we also have to announce the rest of the winners from the Profile Community Challenge. Marcel, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you? I dropped your LinkedIn and your X in the chat, but maybe you can tell us those handles really fast, and maybe what's the best way to people to reach out to you if they want to follow your journey.
Thank you so much. I'm active on X on the marcelhaas.io, and I'm active on LinkedIn. Not very active, but I will be more active there thanks to Replit. Just get in contact. We're ready to help. My team is there to help. Raymar joked if I ever sleep every night 8 hours, I try, but
There's no time to sleep. You can sleep in a year or two when this moment passes.
You know what? So long as you got your agent working and cooking on tasks and doing work, get some sleep, get some rest, right? That's what agents there. You know, the whole idea of AI is that you work less, right? So I think that it's perfectly valid to have agent working all night while you're snoozing.
With the auto suggest feature, this became reality, multi-agent auto suggest feature, and a little bit knowing what you want, this became reality. It's just burning a lot of money, and I know money is a topic everywhere, but especially here, because now we start to understand that AI is actually costing, right? I have one project, I can be open, our website. It costed me $1,200. Is that a lot? No, but you have to be able to pay it for sure. And yeah, for that you need commercialization of any type, and Replit is helping you there in many ways.
Amazing. And we will continue to do so. Love it. Marcel, we got to have you on again soon. I think this could have been a 2-hour conversation. Thank you so much for dropping so many gems in such a short period of time. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Marcel. And we're going to have you back soon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Let's go.
Woo!
Whoa,
That's the one we've been waiting for.
Alpha Fridays.
Saucy Fridays,
to
as the young
max.
kids say.
Drop that sauce on them. Yeah, super cool. And I think, again, this is like another side. I think a lot of people who watch our streams, a lot of folks who are kind of in the community here are like the B2C type folks, like to consumers. They don't really thinking about agency level, enterprise level, kind of these like higher level things. They may be aspiring to them at some level, but getting those insights, getting it first person, again, I think this is a good opportunity for us to think about, how do we bring these types of folks in who are using Replit at just like another level? Because this is where it's exciting. Like lots of folks are out there just kind of building the prototypes, building the little, early apps, building the things, but like building systems inside of organizations like this, deploying with these types of large organizations is really what, sets Replit apart. And I think us figuring out how to showcase that more and more is going to be a big part of where these streams head.
Totally. I think we have made people wait long enough. Sorry, everybody, if you've been waiting on the stream to find out whether or not you've taken down $100 worth of Replit credits. The wait is over.
And
yep.
I just want to say, somebody was like, "Oh, Reimar's taking notes." I was making some notes about stuff, but I was also prompting, so like I just made some adjustments to this to make sure it was like
someone either got added or dropped off based on what was in the comments.
I made it a little easier to navigate on mobile, and I added a quick option, refresh your page, please, to let people claim their profile down at the bottom. So.
Ooh, okay, cool. So am I putting on auto scroll here? Is that the way to do it?
I don't think so. You could do it auto scroll. If everybody wants, I just dropped the link in the chat. Let me make sure it's in there, and I'll pin it.
And then I'll drop it here as well on Restream. So I think that'll go to
yes.
That'll go to LinkedIn and X as well. So if you're on LinkedIn and X and you want to know whether or not you took down $100 worth of credits, of course, just as a reminder, you had to set up your profile and share it on socials, tag one of us to see it. And we went through a couple of these yesterday, saw some really good ones. So Ricky Funk, as always, awesome. 9.5 Ricky Funk, congratulations on taking down $100 worth of credits. Varun, oh man, I love Varun. I always see him on X. He's always posting some really fun things on X, like these videos and these images. They're so creative. Thank you so much, Varun. Congratulations. Vito, awesome. Vito, like I've seen his stuff for a long time. I think he sells like blinds or windows or something. He's always posting really cool stuff about how he's leveraging Replit for his business. Congratulations, Vito. James Marlowe, saw him on LinkedIn dropping his stats. Nice 8.7, top 30% of builders. Congratulations. Ed Quina, Ed Quina from a show we did several months back. I think that was our first build-a-thon, but we had a Quina on the show. She built some really cool XR applications. Thank you for posting your stats at Quina. Congratulations. And we also have L.A. Gordon. L.A. Gordon, proof is in the vibing. I like that tagline. Congrats, L.A. Marcel, of course. So everybody that was on the show earlier today, they were one of the winners. We just selected some of the folks to come on the show and tell us their story. Again, 10.0, big builder, but he's getting paid for it. So it's like, he wants 10.0 there. He probably get like a 12.0 because everything he's building, he's monetizing, which is exactly where everybody needs to be.
Yep.
Powell, always great seeing Powell. He's always posting some great content, and he posted about his stats. I thought Powell had also a really good line that I had quoted. I have to check that out. But yeah, Powell, congratulations. Luis, congrats. Chris makes sense always. Chat favorite Chris, congratulations. Posted this nice video of him getting blown away by his stats. Points for creativity, Chris. Congrats. We've got Daniel Innovate as well, taking down $100 worth of credit. And also, he dropped this interesting suggestion: Miami office anytime
listen,
soon.
don't even start with me, Daniel. If they open a Miami office and I just moved to San Francisco, we're gonna have words. But Daniel's actually a friend of mine back in Florida. Well, an acquaintance because he lived on a different side of the states. But yeah, good friend of mine, and cool to see him building, and a power builder, also building some really cool stuff. So shout out, Daniel.
Awesome. I would want to see a Miami office pop up. I think it'd be cool.
Listen, I'm ready to move back. I'm just saying.
We need you to start it, bro. 2 months, get back. Cameron, professional vibe coder at Replit, posting his stats. Good stuff, dude. Great to see it. Always posting some great content. Jevin is Jevin in the
active in the chat today. Yeah.
Let's go, Jevin. How's it going, man? Yeah, posting his stats and always. I think Jevin recently started joining the chat. I've seen him like much more active the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Dropping some great comments, great questions. I think we got to a couple of his questions earlier today. And someone else that's been on the stream lately as well, Alva. I feel like I've been seeing Alva in the chat. Yep, Alva is here in the chat. Congratulations, Alva, taking down $100 worth of Replit credits. What are you going to be doing? You got $100 now of Replit credits extra in your account. Tell me what you're going to be building in the chat. Are you going to be working this weekend? Let us know. Matt Bibe, always posting great content about Replit, always making good suggestions. Thank you so much, Matt, for sharing your stats. Congrats. And of course, we've got Victoria, who you saw earlier today. Definitely check out that post. Unique post. Really love that. Tasha B, a vet from the Replit 10 Build-a-thon. Congrats, Tasha, on taking down $100 of credits. Aaron as well. Let's see. Do we have this link? I don't know if we have it.
That's so weird too that his keeps
Anyhow,
unpreviewing. Anyway,
we'll fix that.
Yeah.
And then Noni Nadia, Andrew Blumson, of course, the legend. I think we might be having Andrew on the show sometime soon, so stay tuned for that, folks. Make sure you head over to the Replit calendar in Luma, sign up for notifications so that you don't miss any future shows. Congrats, Andrew. Help me pronounce this, Reimer. Is it
Deirdre?
Deirdre. Thank you, Deirdre. Deirdre's been everywhere. She's in the chat, of course, as Summer Camp, and I've been seeing her on LinkedIn and on socials quite a bit. So, Deirdre, congratulations. We've got Aaron Horn as well, taking down $100 of credits. Pedro Jose, congrats. And then we also have Gatis as well with $100 worth of credits.
Hey, real quick, scroll up to the top of this post. I just want to make sure everyone knows here's more. Yep, there you go. So you got the link to the post, and then click that. The other one, the profile.
Let me go here. Bam.
So
nice.
This will open up their actual Replit community profile. So we have links to their social posts, so you can follow them on their social media, but also a link to their profile. Gaddis, I see you need to set up your projects. Put a project or two on that page, and then get that follow back. You better
follow
earn that.
back.
That's right.
That's how you do it.
Get it to them. Got to get it to them. Okay, yeah, and so the list is out there. We will share this in socials, and we will also send this list out in the recap email. But yeah, this is a great way for you to explore other builders. Soon there will be a live directory that you can start exploring on the CRM and finding ways to connect with other builders geographically, over topics, etc. So again, shout out to everybody who participated in this. To win this wasn't just making the social post. Obviously, there was a lot of work leading up to this that got your stats in play, that then gave you the sauce to go make your post. So yeah, again, super cool. I'm very excited to see where these profiles go and what else we can do to, again, amplify this community with the goal of driving towards revenue, right? With the goal of driving towards real business use cases inside of Replit at lots of different scales, right? So they don't all have to be the enterprise level use case. Some of y'all are just starting to learn how to make money on Replit. Some of you are, building really established businesses or selling into large enterprises. All of those things are welcome here, and it's going to be our goal to figure out how to, again, surface those things, highlight those things, bring them to your attention, and build resources and assets that help the rest of you, aspire to or get to those levels.
I thought we did a good job of bringing on like different builders that are building on Replit today. Because we had like Noni and Nadia, teachers, content creators. Then we had Victoria, new builder, just coming out of the Navy. And then we had like this power user, Marcel. And like, I think that just kind of gives you a breadth of like how universal this tool is and how applicable it is for almost anybody. So really excited about what's next, particularly on the enterprise side, but also all the other stuff that we're doing. So if you want to see different widgets, different badges, different things that we can put on the community profiles, please drop it in the chat. We're going to be scraping all of the suggestions, and we're going to
Shout us
put
out
down
on
a roadmap.
social. I think Nadia said earlier today, like, listen, if you're just in the YouTube chat or in the Discord or something like that stuff kind of gets, there's a lot of churn there. Whereas if you, reply to this post, you do a couple things. First, you boost the algo a little, which we all love, right? So if we have a post on X and you reply to our post with a suggestion or a thought or a feature, you give that little post a boost, that helps. But you're also going to get a response from us more likely than you will in an email, right? Like a lot of times what you need to think about in this community is like not sending private messages, like this is public stuff, right? So good feedback, bad feedback, we like it, we don't like it, whatever it is, like tagging those things, interacting with the actual posts on social is a great way to get our attention, but also a higher signal output from your side to like get the impact across, because then we can see how other people respond to it. Do other people say yes, no, whatever? And again, that becomes good signals for us to understand like, oh, this is the type of direction we should head, or this is a really good feature suggestion. Lots of people like it. We hadn't thought about it. Those types of things. So I would encourage you, as you engage with us and as you think about, these things, do as much of that as you can on public channels. Not in the Discord is for hanging out. The Discord is for chatting. Slack is for chatting. Like DMs are for just, like the orchestrating behind the scenes. But when you really want to like step up and increase your visibility, like I would encourage you to just start doing all that on public channels.
Spot on. I think increase the visibility is key, Rymar, because like there are people that I see all the time on my X feed, on my LinkedIn feed, and then when they come into my DMs, like, oh, like I recognize that icon, I recognize that name. I'm just much more likely to accept the invitation or respond to that email, that DM. So you kind of want to like be out there, always present, so that when you do need to reach out to one of us, like boom, like right away. Oh, like I know, Noni here, like yeah, for sure. Like
Right.
let me like respond to her right away.
Well, and a lot of times if I'm in my email or if I'm in my Discord moment, I'm not looking for those types of things a lot of times, right? Or it's out of context with that thing that we shared. And it's just in the stream of like, I'm just getting back to work emails, or I'm just trying to triage like everything that's happening in the community. Whereas like when you do it on socials, it's anchored to that post. And so when I see it, when we go back to it, it's like anchored directly there. I can reference it again. I can go back to it because I know that post was there. So I can see feedback underneath there.
Mhm.
And also, again, just the general premise of like, here we are trying to increase each other's viral loops.
Yep.
And so the more we can do that, like I just saw, Spellstrike Kelly over here saying, followed everyone on the winners list. Like, go do that. Follow people on the list. People will follow you back. Boom, you picked up 25 followers, And so like commenting under people's posts, replying and sharing, like we should all kind of be thinking about how to boost each other's signals across the board here. And you just watch. I'm telling you, just let's keep doing this for a little while. And you watch over the next couple months how everybody that's playing inside this game with us is just going to get a massive boost publicly, which is what you want. Again, we'll connect on Discord. Those are all going to be there. That's like where we're going to operate and organize. But the social stuff is what we want. Again, we're looking for attention. We're looking to generate attention. And we know how the social algorithms work. They work based on engagement and interaction. So the more we can kind of boost each other's signals with that type of thing, even on small scales, the better everyone's just going to start percolating up. So again, the better you get at that, the more I think we all win across the board.
That's a great point. Yeah, you tag us on a post, you respond to one of the posts on Replit or one of our posts. There's some likelihood that you're going to get reposted by us. If you get reposted by us, there's some likelihood that Amjad's going to see it. You might get
Yes.
reposted by Amjad. Next thing you know, you got 1,000 followers to deal with. So,
Yeah, I
right?
think
That's on Noni. Ruth
Ruth was a perfect
Noni.
example of that. The other
Yeah.
day, literally, we announced the profiles, and within minutes, she had shared it on X and got a retweet from Amjad. And so like these kinds of things are not. The leadership of this company and the other people that work here are also very active in participating in these things. And that's a good way to get on their radar. So again, it's not just about like, let me get on Rymar or Manny's radar. It's like putting this stuff in the public eye gives you the opportunity to like put it on other people's radar, or for us to grab that comment and share it in an internal Slack thread, or for us to retweet the comment you made. And so there's just so many more options for us, especially when it relates to this type of thing, for you to make that interaction public. That like I would just recommend that as the base level starting point moving forward for this kind of thing.
Love it. Here's a suggestion for everybody. What is the top 3 things that you took away from today's stream? What were the standout highlight moments? I'd love for you to drop it in the chat. Also, I think you should post about that on socials, on X or LinkedIn. Like here, like the top 3 things that I took away from today's stream. Would love to see that. Tag me, tag Rymar. And next week we have a deep dive on Tuesday. Rymar, do we have a topic for that just
We
yet?
don't have a topic. I have a guest, by the way, that I reached out
Ooh.
to. I have to just clear it and make sure that we're okay with it internally, but it's I won't say too much, but another Marcel type situation where
Oh.
high level VC, lots of startups using Replit for everything, and kind of has a long legacy in the agentic AGI space and the AI space. So I'm going to see if I can lock him in and if that all works out. But expect, a quality deep dive on Tuesday. Office hours are back to weekly on Wednesdays, so we're going to start promoting and building attention on those. Manny, I know your showcases are on Friday, and we are already talking about how to fill Mondays and Thursdays regularly. So expect us to be live daily, fairly soon here.
So deep dive on Tuesday, office hours on Wednesday. Again, you have to join the Discord to participate in those live streams. Go to the community website to do that, and then our showcase on Friday next week.
And just a reminder, Discord is now open to core members. We haven't made that fully public announcement to like the whole world. But if you are a core member and you want into Discord, you can now go to replit.com/community. There's 2 links there, one to apply to be an ambassador, the other one to be in Discord. And then in the top, you can obviously claim your profile. Everyone should just claim their profile. We want everyone in the community to have an active community profile. But then beyond that, click into Discord. That's kind of where, all the fun stuff is happening behind the scenes. And we're getting really hands-on with those office hours. It's a great opportunity. Like these streams are one thing where it's mostly just broadcasting out, but the office hours become very interactive. You can just apply to get up on stage. We usually have like roundtable discussions. We do demos, like all sorts of fun stuff inside of the office hours, which we may end up streaming at some point also, parts of them. But it's just a whole different type of experience if you want to get hands-on or ask questions with builders that we can't really do with these streams. And just expect us again to continue to double down on production quality, live stream content, the quality of the guests we bring in, just everything that we can figure out here to just, make these streams better for you all.
Amazing. All right. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody. See you in a bit.
Bye. Gotta get that music though.
I know. I'm trying to get it on.
Come on.
Behind
New
the
streams
there it
playing.
is.
There it is. Hey.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.